Okay, so this is pro left 22 ISO. We will typically run the ISO play to the weak side, meaning away from the tight end. And the idea of that is so that we can get a defense that'll line up to how we'd like. Ideally, what we would like the defense to do is leave the B gap open. So typically a defense will line up like this if they have a tight end to their right. So on a 22 ISO, the ISO is referring to isolation. The H-back is responsible for the backside, the play side linebacker. In this case, his job is to just go straight ahead and keep his head on the inside. This is going to be a train wreck. It's going to be a collision. You've got to hit that linebacker with good enough force where the backer can't get any depth into our lineman. Once again, coaching point here is make sure that your head is on the inside. This is just going to be man-on-man blocking. It's not zone blocking, so you're going to take a base right tackle. The guard's going to take a base left, and with any amount of execution here, you should have a gap open up. The R, it's important to understand that this play is quick hitting more so than 24 zone. So I'm actually going to put you a little bit tighter. You're going to be about 5 yards, maybe 4.5 if you could push a little tighter. You're going to take the same step. Your aiming point is once again over here on the make it look like 24 zone. But once the exchange occurs with quarterback, you're going to open up to the play side, and once the exchange happens, you're going to attack that outside hip of the guard. This is a B gap play. It hits the B gap. R also, this will typically cut. You can make one cut towards the inside. The H is going to try to drive the backer to the outside. So understand, keep your eyes inside and see if you can't make that cut towards the inside. Backside, they're typically, I would like to see, if the center's not covered, I'd like to see the center to try to block that backside backer. And backside guard and tackle can go ahead and cut any defenders on that backside. Now, so ideally, the defense will not have a B gap defender. So let's talk about that different approach if they do give us that. So let's line up in a pro right 21 ISO. So sometimes a defense will give you that B gap defender and it'll look like this. All right, so once again, I see 3 offensive blockers. The play side guard, tackle, and H are going to be responsible for the in, tackle, and backer. But if there is a B gap defender, if that tackle is lined up in the B gap, the guard is going to call an X block, which simply tells that you're going to exchange roles. The offensive tackle is going to come down and block the tackle. He goes first, and the guard is going to come around and block the defensive end. That will give you a much better angle to clean out that B gap. The H's role does not change. He is still going to block that backer with his head on the inside. The R takes the same step as you would for 23 zone, but instead of attacking a little bit on the outside, you will attack just on the edge of the guard. All right? So once again, this is not a read. This is a quick hitting play that the only cut that's going to happen is after you get past the defensive lineman. Once you get past the defensive lineman running back, you can make a cut to the inside. And that's typically where it will open up. Now, if the center is covered up, I would like to see possibly the guard cut the nose, which will allow the center to get to the second level and block this pursuing backside backer. And once again, the backside tight end and backside tackle can all cut. The X's and Z's, we're going to try to get to that safety. Get downhill and see if you can get that safety to get this thing to break through. All right, so here's a look at 21 ISO. The first thing to notice is the H is not lined up. He's lined up at the wing, put in motion, and that's something you can do to make it harder for the defense to see the play coming. But typically, we will have the H not in motion. We will have the H lined up you know, right here behind the guard. Um, but anyway, he gets in that spot, and look at who he blocks. He is responsible for this play side backer, and he is going to hit that thing as hard as he can, and keep his head on the inside. Here he keeps his head on the outside, but I'd like to see his head stay on the inside. Okay, sorry about that. Notice here, look at the lineman play. Notice there is no B-gap defender. Between the guard and tackle, it's wide open, so it's just going to be a base block. And this is an ISO, this is a textbook ISO. The offensive tackle is going to block his guy out. The guard is going to block his guy in. And the H is going to block the linebacker, which gives a seam for that running back to hit through. Let's watch it again. I also want you to notice the backside tackle. The backside tackle, which is right there. Notice his cut block. It's very efficient. If you're the backside on any ISO, especially a tackle, just cut the defensive lineman. If you are not covered up, get to the second level. Look at this backside guard. The backside guard, which is right here, he is not covered. There's no defensive lineman on top of him. And he's just going to get to the second level to get any backer that's scraping across. And this is, once again, 21 ISO.